You've been there staring at your screen, endlessly tweaking colors and transitions, trying to give your project that perfect vibe. But instead of feeling creative, it just feels dull. Vibe coding is supposed to be fun, a mix of logic and emotion, structure and aesthetic, but too often it turns into frustration. What if you could change that? What if vibe coding could actually be fun, productive, and meaningful? Imagine your workspace first. A sleek laptop hums on your desk next to a glowing mechanical keyboard. A few cables are neatly coiled. Your second monitor shows reference visuals, soft gradients, neon accents, and elegant user interfaces. A pair of noise-canceling headphones rests nearby. The lighting in your room shifts from cool blue to warm amber. That physical setup matters more than you think. It sets the tone. When you work in a space that feels right, your brain associates it with creativity and flow. Now start your coding session not with syntax but with a vibe. Choose one word to define your theme: retro-futuristic, calming, brutalist, organic, cinematic. Pull up references that match it. Photos of glowing circuit boards, vintage devices, slick UIs, and textures from real life like brushed metal or polished wood. These visuals aren't decoration, they anchor your creativity. They remind you what emotion you want your software to evoke. Before diving into code, sketch ideas. Use a pen and notebook or a tablet if you prefer digital. Draw interfaces, button placements, and layouts loosely. Don't worry about precision, worry about feeling. A quick sketch of a glowing dashboard or a minimalist login screen helps you visualize the emotion you're rebuilding toward. When you later open your code editor VS Code, Sublime Text, or WebStorm, you'll already have a sense of atmosphere. That's how vibe coding begins, with vision, not syntax. Start small. Build one or two components that capture your aesthetic. Maybe it's a glowing button that pulses softly when hovered over, or a smooth fade-in for your navigation bar. Play with animation libraries like Framer Motion, GSAP, or CSS transitions. Keep the motion light and purposeful. Those tiny touches create the emotional rhythm of your project. When users hover over something and it feels alive, that's the vibe in action. Then, build out a consistent design system. Define a limited color palette that fits your theme, maybe muted blues for calm, neon greens and magentas for energy, or warm oranges and blacks for cinematic depth. Establish consistent animation speeds, 200 milliseconds for button interactions, 400 milliseconds for page transitions. Pick your fonts wisely: sans serif for modern vibes, serif for elegant, monospaced for tetchy. The more consistent your design language, the more immersive the vibe becomes. Use your coding tools creatively. Customize your editor's theme to reflect the project: dark pastel backgrounds, syntax highlights that match your UI palette. When your tools visually align with your project, your workflow feels cohesive. Keep real technology around you for inspiration: mechanical keyboards, hardware components, or even retro consoles. They remind you that coding is not abstract. It's about building real things that live in real contexts. Incorporate real visuals into your process. As you develop, capture screenshots of your progress and pair them with realistic tech imagery, close-ups of circuit boards, glowing server racks, hands typing on a keyboard. When editing with CapCut or another visual editor, animate these with soft camera pans and subtle zooms. Use overlays of your UI fading into those real-world images. This blending of code and reality grounds your project. It tells a story that people can see and feel. Why should this matter to you? Because software today isn't just about function, it's about experience. Two apps can do the same thing, but the one that feels better to use wins. That feel is your vibe. It's the subtle animations, the thoughtful spacing, the gentle glow that makes people smile. When you code with a vibe-first mindset, you're designing for emotion. That emotional connection keeps users loyal. More importantly, vibe coding makes you enjoy the process. When coding becomes a creative expression instead of a checklist, it doesn't burn you out. Every little polish, a button easing perfectly, a gradient aligning with a photo feels like art. Those micro-satisfactions build momentum. You'll start looking forward to refining animations or experimenting with color balance. The process becomes play. Let's talk about practicality. To keep vibe coding efficient, you need balance. It's easy to overdo animations or chase perfection endlessly. The trick is to set constraints early. Define your color palette, spacing system, motion speeds, and font scales. Document them in a design token file or style guide. Once you set those, your creativity has rails, it's focused. A consistent system means you can iterate fast without breaking the aesthetic. You'll also face technical limits. Some animations might lag or effects might look great on desktop but heavy on mobile. Learn to optimize. Use GPU acceleration, pre-render animations, and compress images. Think like both an artist and an engineer. There's real joy in solving those performance puzzles, making art run efficiently. It's the intersection where vibe coding truly shines. As your project grows, build reusable vibe components. For example, create a vibe button that automatically applies your glow and easing rules. Build a vibe card with your hover shadow and scale effect. Then use these throughout your app. It keeps your code clean and ensures every new feature carries the same personality. Over time, your component library becomes your aesthetic DNA. Show your work visually. Record short clips of your interface and action-smooth transitions, hover animations, interactive elements, and edit them in CapCut. Add background music that matches the mood. Lo-fi beats for calm interfaces, synthwave for futuristic ones. Include real-world visuals. Engineers in studios, screens glowing in dim rooms, people interacting with devices. This isn't just presentation, it's storytelling. It communicates the vibe your app embodies. Why is this important for you personally? Because the future of coding is emotional. As AI automates more technical work, creativity, taste, and aesthetic sense will set developers apart. Anyone can write logic. Not everyone can make users feel something. Vibe coding helps you build that rare intuition how motion, color, and timing communicate mood. That skill is powerful in UI design, marketing, and even leadership. When you can design experiences people enjoy, your value skyrockets. Also, vibe coding teaches mindfulness. You start paying attention to subtle details, the way elements move, the rhythm of transitions, how layouts breathe. You stop rushing. You observe. That attention rewires how you see software. You stop thinking of it as code and start seeing it as composition. That mindset shift can reignite your passion for tech entirely. As you refine your project, gather feedback. Show it to people. Ask what they feel while using it, not just what they think. Does it feel smooth, inviting, energetic, confusing? Vibe coding is about emotional resonance, not just functionality. Listen to those reactions and adjust, tweak transitions, balance color contrast, lighten shadows. Small changes can shift perception dramatically. Eventually, your coding sessions stop feeling like work. They start to feel like flow. You'll look forward to experimenting with micro interactions or lighting effects. Even debugging becomes more tolerable when your app looks and feels good. You're not just fixing bugs, you're sculpting experiences. The payoff is immense. When you share your finished work online, people notice. They see how cohesive everything feels, the motion, the design, the imagery. They comment on how smooth or aesthetic it looks. That's your vibe. That's your craftsmanship made visible. Employers, clients, and users all respond to that kind of polish. In the bigger picture, making vibe coding fun is about reconnecting technology with humanity. Coding isn't supposed to be sterile, it's creative engineering. The best software blends precision with personality. By learning to think in vibes, you bring warmth and emotion to the digital world. You remind yourself that behind every line of code, there's a person trying to express something meaningful. So how do you make vibe coding actually fun? You build a space that inspires creativity. You pick a theme that excites you. You prototype with feeling, not fear. You build design systems that preserve your vision. You optimize for smoothness. You reuse and evolve your vibe components. You ground your visuals in real-world tech imagery. You tell a story through your interface. And you keep playing until the process itself becomes rewarding. The truth is, vibe coding doesn't have to suck, it can be your favorite part of development. When you merge art and engineering, when you let your workspace, your code, and your visuals flow together, you rediscover why you started coding in the first place. It's not just about making things work. It's about making things feel right. That's what real vibe coding is. It's not another framework, not a trend, it's a mindset. One that turns your code editor into a creative studio, your app into a living artwork, and your workflow into something you genuinely love doing. And once you reach that point, coding stops being just a job, it becomes an experience worth enjoying every single day.